Hey everyone, Galia Aharoni Schmidt here, coming at you from Aharoni Business Law. We are doing another round of our many-part series on all of the many exemptions to AB5 when you're trying to figure out if someone's an independent contractor or an employee. So again, if you haven't watched the main video about AB5 and the ABC test and how to tell whether someone is a contractor or an employee, please go check out that video first, because none of this will make sense otherwise. But assuming you've done that, right now in this video, we're going to talk about the long list of kind of specific industries that were called out to have automatic exemptions from the ABC test. So I'm just going to go ahead and share the list with you, and we're going to go through them together. So basically, this is the easiest exemption out of all of them because it's kind of just a list of, if you're one of these, then the Borello test applies and not the ABC test. So some of these do have their own definitions and rules, but generally it's pretty straightforward. So if you're on the list, that's great, and Borello probably applies. So first one, just, all of the physician adjacent kind of industries. So physicians, surgeons, dentists, podiatrists, psychologists, and veterinarians. Again, automatically, if you're licensed and you're actually performing those professional or medical services, you're good. The rest of the ones on this part of the column all just, again, apply if you've got a license and if you're actually practicing doing that thing. So lawyers, architects, landscape architects, engineers, private investigators, accountants, all again automatically are exempted and use Borello if you're licensed and practicing. The next one is registered securities, broker dealers, and investment advisors. Again, these are people who are registered with the SEC or licensed to do this. Direct salespeople is the next one, and manufactured housing salespeople. So these are people who are, they have their own codes in other places that they're governed by, but for the purposes of classification, we're just looking at the Borello test. International exchange visitor program. This one's interesting because it doesn't apply to the people participating in the program. It applies to the program itself. So if there's a person who is conducting this program, not participating in, but conducting a program that facilitates the international or cultural exchange of people or cultures, then this might apply. Competition judge is the next one. So this is, there's some sort of competition going on. There is a person who is performing as the judge whose job it is to determine the outcome or enforce the rules of the competition. And there has to be some sort of expertise that they have to have, or special skills, and they have to have some discretion to decide during their job. So this includes things like amateur umpires and referees. And motor club is the next one. So again, this is talking about the person who's doing the work for the motor club, doing work on behalf of the motor club to a third party. So they're providing motor club services to a third party, but they're not an employee of the motor club. So this one applies in that situation if that person also has a separate business. So these are the last four. These ones have their own long list of definitions and their own specific tests you have to apply, unlike the ones that were on the last slide. So these four don't come up very often in my practice. So I didn't want to spend a whole ton of time analyzing all of the special rules for these four, but I just wanted to say, if you think that one of these might apply, please dig into it more. Please talk to a lawyer. So the first one is a commercial fisher working on an American vessel. I haven't met any of those in my practice, but if you are a commercial fisher working on an American vessel, this might apply to you. A newspaper distributor. Again, lots of definitions for what applies to that, so keep an eye out. Subcontractors in the construction industry. So obviously that does come up a lot, and I've talked to a lot of those people, but it's very, very long specific rule and its own test. So if you think if that's what you want to look into, please dig into it more. Don't just assume that this exemption applies to you, okay? And the last one is data aggregator. So data aggregator and individual providing feedback to the data aggregator. So what that is people who are getting feedback on products or services or the user experience, things like that. So user testing, basically, if someone is performing user testing, both the user testing person and the people providing their opinions should fall into this rule. So again, I want to remind you over and over and over again that even if you fall into one of these exemptions, it doesn't automatically mean that you're a contractor and not an employee, okay? It just means that the Borello test, the old test, applies instead of the ABC test from AB5. So it's a little bit easier of a test, but it's still a hard test. So I don't want you to assume that one of these applies to you. And I don't want you to assume that you're a contractor necessarily, even if one of these definitely applies to you. Please dig in to the rule a little bit more, do some research, contact a lawyer, get some more information, make sure you fit into one of these exemptions so you don't accidentally get audited or sued or anything like that, okay? So that was the industry exemptions to the ABC test. Like I said, this is a series about all the exemptions. The other ones are more complex. So if none of these applied to you, keep an eye out for the other ones too. Feel free to like and subscribe for more of our free videos about AB5, but a whole bunch of other business and employment and IP related topics too. And feel free to follow our social media or sign up for our newsletter for alerts for when we post new free stuff, which is often. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.